Welcome to the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renée Jordan. This podcast is a accumulation of Dr. Jordan's dissertation work and her passion for empowering Latinas, Afro-Latinas, Black women, and girls to navigate the academic and professional worlds with confidence and success. Whether you're a mother or a guardian guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, an undergrad or grad student, someone working on a dissertation or thesis, or simply looking to carve out your niche in the career landscape, this podcast is for you. Each episode, Dr. Jordan shares her story, offers invaluable advice, and provides practical coaching to help you thrive in school, work, and beyond. Join our community on patreon.com/Black-Liberation.Tech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll gain exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. You're also welcome to follow Black-Liberation.Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, or Black-Lib.Tech on X, formerly known as Twitter. Visit Black-Liberation.Tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventure in Inglés o Español. Tune in, get inspired, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to Black-Liberation.Tech, where your success story begins. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I am your host, Dr. Renée Jordan, and today we're going to take a look at a blog post from January 2019, and it's entitled, Make It a Good One. Deciding what to do after high school is one of the most important decisions you will make. Whether you have a full ride or pay your way through the college of your choice, go to a junior college with intents to transfer, opt into a vocational route, join the armed forces, or even decide on a combination. Make sure it is what you want to do for yourself, at least for the moment. And yes, it is okay to change your mind. Before heading out to the venue for my youngest brother's wedding, I stopped by my undergraduate school. I was so glad to chat with Dean Olivia White and catch my former advisor and physics professor, Dr. Alan Flora, minutes before his next class. After 20 years, he still remembered me and my laugh. I told him that it was his musical ear and reminded him that we never got a chance to sing together. I also was surprised to see my quantitative analysis chemistry professor, Dr. Kevin Bennett. Here's a part of a note that I sent to Dr. Flora the day after my visit. Going to Hood College was one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself, and I am grateful for all of the wonderful people I met and memories I made along the way. Whatever your decision might be, make it a good one. So this podcast is about making a good decision as it relates to what you decide to do for yourself after high school. So there are different paths that you can take. I chose the path of going to undergraduate school. I share in a different episode my story of how I went about selecting it. However, after time, I have the privilege of hindsight and being able to look back on my choice and how it impacted me along my way. I will say that going to Hood College was a decision that I made. I shared with my parents what I wanted to do. I understood for a long time that it would be my responsibility to actually get a scholarship in order to pay for my schooling, and anything remaining would be my responsibility. And so, although Hood College did not give me a full scholarship, I thought that it was worth the investment in myself in order to ensure that I got to go to a place that wasn't so far from home. So it was all of, depending on who was driving and how traffic flowed, anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes away from home. I was able to go home every other weekend to do laundry and to go to church. I continued to sing in my choir, the youth choir, as well as I want to say I started the young adult choir, but I'm not quite sure. I might have waited until after I graduated from college to start singing in the young adult choir, but I did continue to sing in my church choir while I was in school. And that was important to me because that was what I actually enjoyed doing. And so not only was it close to home, it also offered me an opportunity to be in class sizes that were familiar to me in terms of they were the same size or smaller than my high school classes. I am someone who really emphasizes the need for people to know me as an individual as opposed to being just one of many. And so I really wanted my teachers to know my name. They might not have been able, each one of them might not have been able to learn a lot about me outside of the class and the coursework, but I at least wanted them to be able to distinguish me from someone else. And that's important to me. I want people to remember me. And even if they can't remember all the details, whether it's my smile, in the case of Dr. Flora, it was not only that he remembered my name, he remembered my laugh. And that's the kind of personal touch that I really appreciated after, oh my goodness, after 20 years, because I went in the fall of 99. Well, almost 20 years. I was visiting in January of 2019. So that was a lot of time that elapsed. And for someone to still remember my names and remember my voice, remember my laugh, that speaks volumes. I worked for the dean of students, who at the time was Dean Olivia White. When I went to go visit, she was still at Hood College, and so it was so good to see her. I had the opportunity to work with her for a year during my junior year of undergrad, and that was a pleasure. I got to work with her as well as her executive assistant, and it's cool to see a Black woman in power, a Black woman of great stature, a Black woman who sits in authority and does so with grace, a Black woman who is joyous, one who is cheerful, one who has a beautiful smile and is an encouragement to others. Someone who had the heart and the ear of the campus. So she truly was a dean of students. She listened to students. She might not have been able to give them all of the answers that they wanted to hear, but she listened and she let them know that she heard their concern and that she was taking it under consideration, and she was transparent about the limitations as far as what she would be able to do. And so Dean Olivia White, is definitely someone who I remembered, and I was glad that I had the chance to visit with her, and she remembered me as well. And it was good to catch up with her. It was cool to also reconnect with Dr. Kevin Bennett. He was one of the younger faculty, and he looked just the same. And so it was nice to catch him as well. It was nice to be back on campus and be able to see what they accomplished in terms of buildings. And it's a beautiful campus. It was beautiful then. It's still beautiful now. And I would definitely encourage anyone who's interested in a small liberal arts college that will challenge you in terms of your intellect, as well as provide you with the opportunity to be involved in what happens on campus. I would definitely encourage anyone to go to Hood College who was thinking about what to do, and that's in Frederick, Maryland. The reason Hood College was such a good choice for me is because I was able to learn as an individual from that experience. So everything wasn't rosy. I was challenged on a personal level by students and by an adjunct faculty member in terms of my being there. And so because of how I was able to handle the situations without a second thought or without much thought, it was almost like a reflex, if you will. I could see then how I was raised and how I was brought up and how my morals and my intestinal fortitude that I started off with before getting to Hood College, went into automatic pilot. The dorm that I lived in was above the cafeteria. And so there were different floors, and on the top floor, that's where all the juniors and seniors were, or there were only juniors and seniors because they were singles. And they had a huge bathroom with plenty of showers, plenty of stalls. And so when I got there, I looked at the bathroom that was on my floor on the second floor, and I was in 2 West, and there was only a few showers and a few bathroom stalls. I went on an exploration. I checked out the bathrooms on the other floors. And when I got to the 4th floor, I said, you know what? I like this one. And so that's the shower that I used for 2 years while I was in that dorm because I liked it. And during my freshman year, someone challenged me and was like, we heard you're using the shower on the 4th floor. I said, there's no rule that says you have to use a shower on your floor. And so they were like, yeah, but it's for the people who are on the 4th floor. I'm sorry, is there a line outside at 6 o'clock in the morning? There are no lines. I'm not keeping anyone from using the shower at 6 o'clock in the morning. Because I was an early riser before I got to Hood College, I maintained getting up early. And so it was nothing for me to get up and take a shower at 6 o'clock in the morning. And there was at the most one other person in the bathroom at that time. And I was not preventing them from using the shower. And so I continued, and that was the last time anyone asked me about it. So later on in reflection, I was like, that person didn't think I belonged up there just because I didn't live on the floor, or they didn't think I belonged up there because of other reasons. But I went and I did what was comfortable for me, and I spoke up for myself, and that was that. So I say that to say, while you're picking your school of choice, there might be some people when you show up who might not choose you. Now, whether that's just out of tradition, out of being territorial, out of bias, out of whatever preconceived ideas they have, know that when you get somewhere, you don't have to wait for them to necessarily make you feel like you belong there, but know that you belong, period. You belong on this earth. And so as a result, I want to encourage you to move about based on that. A part of the reason I'm able to move with confidence is because I have a good family that I know loves me, that was cheering me on in terms of going to school. I got to see them every other week, so I did not forget that there is a lot of people who love me, not just a little bit. So not just my family, but also my home church, as well as my friends. And so because I belonged to others in other places, in addition to those that I met at my new school, I was able to move about with confidence and know that this is where I am. This is where I belong. I selected this school, and that's why I belong, because it was my choice to be here. And while I made friends, while I got involved in the gospel ensemble, while I got involved in SGA, now let me tell you this. If you attend a college or university, become a member of the Student Government Association, because chances are, at least at my school, they had a great deal in terms of what happened to the student activity funds. And as a result of being involved in the SGA, I learned that the activities were able to submit requests in terms of budgets, but they had to meet the deadline and explain why they needed the different funds. When I got to Hood College, the gospel ensemble did not have choir robes, and it was something that was on their to-do list. And as a result of being a part of the SGA, I found out what the SGA says yay or nay when it comes to how different activities are able to use funds. Is just that they have to submit their budget requests on time. And so as a result, the gospel ensemble was able to submit a budget request for choir robes, and it was approved. And the justification behind it was so that we would have a uniform when we we performed not only at school, but also when we were asked to sing and represent the school in other places. And that way we would be identifiable as well as present a uniform appearance in terms of our clothing. And so that was pretty cool. I was glad that I was able to help the gospel ensemble in that way. Now, whether or not they still use the robes, I don't know. But when you're making your budget request with the Student Government Association, and it has something to do with a uniform such as a choir robe, throw in the budget the cost of dry cleaning so that you can get them clean and you don't have to worry about individuals getting them clean. But you can indeed take them to the dry cleaners, get them clean, and bring them back. So that's just a little extra. So once again, looking back, going to Hood College prepared me in different ways. It allowed me to show to myself that I had some good people skills about myself, and I was able to navigate the spaces not only when it was positive, but also when there were some challenges. Another challenge I had was with the adjunct professor. And unfortunately, this adjunct professor was teaching, and I say unfortunate because it was just sad. She was teaching African American history. And apparently, during a class, one of my classmates, they were doing something and I was turning around to try and find out what was going on, being nosy. And when I turned back around, I was smiling and she said, "I want to see you after class." And I was like, "What? I know she's not talking to me." So when class was over, I walked out the class, or I tried to walk out the class, and she stopped me and said, "Hey, excuse me, I need to talk to you." And she told me, "You remind me of someone that I knew who would make their classmates crack up laughing in class and then look like you weren't doing anything." And I was just like, "So you're pulling me aside because I remind you of someone?" Now, this is the sad part. So I never got anything below a B in that class. However, my final grade for that class, I want to say it was a C plus. Hopefully. If it wasn't a C plus, it was like a C. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. So that was sad and unfortunate. And one of the things that I did not know at the time was that you can challenge grades. So this is another note. If you receive a grade that is lower than any of the grades that you got back, definitely challenge that grade and say, "Hey, excuse me, I need an explanation of my grade. May I please see the calculations that resulted in me earning this grade? Because based upon what I have, I don't have anything that would cause me to get the grade that I received as my final grade." And not only can you go to the professor, but you can also use the student services pathway in order to get assistance. Go to student services, go to your advisor, find out the proper steps that you need to take in order to challenge a grade, because it is a thing, unfortunately. And so I did not challenge that grade. It was a one-time adjunct professor, and so I never saw her name come up again in terms of scheduling. And yeah, that was a challenge. And so after that, I did not have to challenge a grade, but I made sure in terms of my schooling, because I've said before, I've gone to school many times at different places, and I've learned a lot as a result. And so if you get a grade and it's not what you think it should be, make sure you're keeping copies of your grade all along the way. And it's okay to challenge it. Go through the proper channels in order to ask questions on the correct procedures that you should take in order to file a complaint or to challenge your grade, because there is a way to do so. And if you follow those steps, it will help you maintain a level of professionalism that would prevent your requests from being ignored. So I say that to say, when you go humbly. Don't go yelling and screaming. Although you might be upset, take a breath, take a break, walk away, come back, draft your email, draft your letter, draft your form that you fill out, take a break, come back, look at it, make sure that it does not give whoever's reading it a reason to ignore it because of anything anything that might be perceived as flagrant or anything that might be perceived as unprofessional. It's important that you make the decision that feels right to you as an individual, because education is something that is personal. I say that to say, when you either go to an undergraduate school that's 4 years, a junior college that is 2 years, a vocational school that has different time frames, or even serve in the armed forces, those are things that impact you first. Yes, others may benefit as a result of you going to these different paths. Yes, your family may benefit as a result of you taking these different pathways that can lead to earning a living and establishing a career, but they impact you first. So when you graduate, you're the one with the degree, you're the one with the certification, you are the one with the license, you are the one who will have the credentials that you did not have previously. You are the one who will be able to apply to other jobs, other positions, other rankings, and better yourself as a result. So it's important for you to make sure that you consider all your options and even think about a combination of things. It could be that you start off at a junior college and transfer into a 4-year school. It could be that you start off in the military, and while you are a part of the military, you go to a college in order to get your degree. It's even possible to get your degree and then join the armed forces and end up in an officer position as a result of your education. Now, the details of that I will leave to you to investigate for yourself. And I want to encourage you to look into your options to find out what they are and what you can do in order to better yourself. And when I say better yourself, graduating from high school is an accomplishment. Not everyone graduates. Not everyone makes it through. So if you graduate from high school, congratulations, that's great. Now, if you want to take it a step further, there are more paths that you can take that will allow you to go beyond what you can get with a high school diploma. Yes, there are different things that you can accomplish with a high school diploma, but the thing is, if you add to it, whether it's college, junior college, vocational training, or a trade school, if you will, armed forces, or a combination of them, you'll have more opportunities open to you that you will be able to apply to. And so it's important for you to investigate those things for yourself to see what your options are. Now, one of the things that I do want to stress is that you can always change your mind. You can start off as one major and change to another. You can complete a whole associate's degree or even an undergraduate degree and go back to school for something else, or get a certification in something else. I have a few degrees and none of them are the same. So just think about it. Now, I started off with a bachelor's in biology because I wanted to go to medical school. I later determined I didn't want to go to medical school, and I in fact went from being an accounts receivable and accounts payable representative at a property management company. Where did that come from? An opportunity was open to me because I had a bachelor's degree. I went from that to taking a non-traditional route to becoming a certified teacher through the Prince George's County Resident Teacher Program, and became a fully certified high school biology teacher. Now, that was a great next step because of my curiosity in terms of wanting to know best practices, research-based best practices, wanting to know more about education and learning and teaching and pedagogy. I went back to school and got a master's in education to make sure that I was doing it right. And in the process, I started asking more questions. I said to myself, okay, so if this is what the research says, but the policies and procedures or the norm for the school does not align with some of those things and they are out of my control, who are the people who decide those things that are out of my control when it comes to teaching in my classroom? And from there, I learned that it was those who were in public policy. As a result, I went back to school and got a master's in public policy. And once again, the wheels in my mind kept turning and I was curious again. So my curiosity led me to asking questions about what can I do as an individual to impact my community? What tool can I use? And then I thought about the tools that I had been using all along the way through undergraduate school, as a teacher, even as the accounts receivable and payable representative. I was using technology. And so that's the next route that I took. I earned a PhD in instructional technology. Now, those things were all for me. There's not one job out there that says you must have a bachelor's in biology, a master's in secondary education curriculum specialist, a master's in public policy, and a PhD in instructional technology. That combination is not required of one position. But as a result of going to school and asking questions and wanting to learn more and pursuing more education, I was able to develop my own path, and I have no regrets about it. I love biology. I love the study of life, and I love what it has enriched my life with in terms of knowledge, in terms of understanding, in terms of being curious, in terms of experimenting and exploring, in terms of asking questions, in terms of going about things in a strategic and methodic way in order to determine what is happening in a process or what is going on or distinguish what I'm observing. I appreciate my background in education. That is just a blanket that covers everything I do. As an educator, I will always be an educator, even in grant administration. As far as public policy is concerned, I know the do's and don'ts, the wills and won'ts, and how things get done and how they impact other things. I took a class in grant writing during my coursework in public policy, and that impacted me in ways that I would not have thought of. I did not think that I would be a grant administrator by the time I graduated with my master's in public policy. It was very interesting that I graduated in 2015 and I moved into grant administration in 2017. I wasn't even looking for the position, but as a result of my diligent work as an instructional technologist, and as a result of the reporting that I had to do in my position, because it was grant funded by Title III, I was able to demonstrate what I was able to accomplish in terms of the grant objectives for my activity. I was able to provide measurable outcomes. So I kept track of how many people I trained, who I trained, what I trained them on, the different workshops that I had, who came to my workshops, whether or not the workshops were recorded and made available in other places such as Blackboard, where I created a course for people to circle back to or go to in order to help themselves with the technology that they were using for class. And as a result of me being able to put that into words in my reports that I would turn over to my supervisor, the director of Title III noticed, hey, these reports have been enriched as a result of bringing on Renee. And when she was in need and my position came to a close as a result of grant funds ending, she said, you know what? I think you can work with me. Here's the position. This is what you would do. This is how much it would pay. Do you want it? And I said, yes, I do. And I went into grant administration. And at first I was the program specialist. And then after 1 year, my supervisor was promoted. And I in turn was also promoted. And I was promoted to the assistant director of Title III programs. You couldn't have told me that at Hood College. You couldn't have told me that taking my teaching abilities and my love for technology, my intuitive knowledge of how things work, as well as my pedagogical knowledge in terms of how to teach and train others, would commence in me becoming an instructional technologist who in turn was hired into grant administration. And then in grant administration, when we're talking about measurable objectives, when we're talking about data collection, selection. Those things also involved my teaching expertise and my expertise as a biologist. So collecting data. And as a result of that, I was able to teach and train others who were activity directors, who were support for different activities, on how to keep track of what was happening, how to collect the data as they went, and how to incorporate that into a narrative format in terms of their reports. And as a result, they took on more of the reporting, and we were in turn able to provide more of a first-hand account of what was going on with the different grant activities. And so that was a very good turnout. And then finally, in my current position, I am in grant administration in terms of monitoring funds and how they're used and expending funds, as well as reporting on programs, but I actually have the joy of being a part of the program implementation side where I get to see students again. So when you're checking out your options and deciding on making a good choice for yourself, think about the different options and what do you want to do once you're done. Yes, you want to get a job and you want to get paid, but also consider what are the things that help you feel fulfilled in life. For me, it's helping others, educating others, working with others, and helping them along their way. That's how I get my greatest fulfillment. So while my skills might be valuable in the corporate world, I feel more fulfilled knowing that what I do reaches students in different places. That's why I really enjoy being in education. Make sure that the decisions that you make align with your interests and your goals, what you want to do in life. Another way to be fulfilled is to get fulfilled as a result of the things that you do outside of work. And perhaps going to work is just something that you check off the box and hopefully do very well so that it does not interfere with what you do outside of work. While you're making your decisions for yourself, seek advice from mentors, teachers, and family. Get their thoughts. Think about how you want to move. Take into consideration what they have to say. When you are talking to mentors, these mentors can be mentors in terms of life, folks that are just helping you along your way. It could be a mentor in terms of career interests, so someone who's working in the sector that you want to go into. They could be a mentor in terms of being an educator that has a broader perspective of the different options and opportunities that are out there for you. They could share what is possible in terms of their discipline, but they also may be able to help you with insight based upon what they've seen some of their students to be able to accomplish as a result of coming through their institution. So talk with mentors, whether they're educators, family members, people who are where you want to be in terms of career, in terms of life. Talk to your family. See if they're willing to help. Now, while I was on my educational journey and I was responsible financially, I do know people who receive help from family in order to accomplish their goals. So talk to your family. See what they're willing to do in order to help you get to where you want to go. It's important that you make thoughtful decisions after high school. My mom came to one of my biology classes one day. I don't remember exactly why. If she was dropping off something for her lab, full disclosure, my mom helped me with my biology labs. So if I needed potato extract, then she was helping me with the blender probably that morning in order to make sure I had enough potato extract for my students to run experiments with. And she came to my classroom and I asked her, I said, well, if you could tell the students anything, what one thing would you want to share with them? And she told my students that, hey, the decisions that you make today are going to decide the car you drive, the house you live in, where you work. So make sure, in short, that you're making good decisions today. And so that's what I want to leave with you. The decisions you make determine the different opportunities that you have available to you. So make sure you're making it a good one. Thank you for tuning in to the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renée Jordan. We hope today's episode has inspired you and provided valuable insights to help you navigate your academic and professional journey with confidence and success. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, as well as rate and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. Whether you're guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, tackling undergraduate or graduate studies, working on a dissertation or thesis, or exploring your career options, this podcast is here to support you every step of the way. Join our community on patreon.com/Black-Liberation.Tech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll enjoy exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. Don't forget to follow Black-Liberation.Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, or Black-Lib.Tech on X, formerly known as Twitter. Visit Black-Liberation.Tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventures, available in both English and Spanish. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep moving forward. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.